Kyle Larson just had enough. After one of the most intense, door-slamming battles we've seen all year, he didn't hold back. "He'll run really aggressive," Larson said, eyes locked and voice sharp. "He's really just kind of toying with us all out there." And the driver he was talking about? Shane van Gisbergen, the Kiwi road course assassin who walked into Charlotte's Roval, wrecked Larson's patience, and walked out with a 15-second win. That's not a typo. 15 seconds. The crowd didn't know whether to cheer or gasp, because while van Gisbergen may have dominated the track, he also sparked a fire that might just burn all the way through the playoffs. It started with respect. Two champions trading paint, running hard, pushing limits. Larson on old tires, SVG on fresh ones. You could feel the tension building with every corner. The clock ticking down. And then, turn 7. Larson wasn't lifting. SVG wasn't backing off. And when their cars clashed, it wasn't just metal meeting metal. It was pride versus precision. "Thought he was going to give me some space," van Gisbergen admitted. And he didn't. "I couldn't back out of it." That's when everything changed. Because as Larson saw it, SVG crossed a line. So he crossed one too. "He got into me first, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to get into you a couple times here," Larson said. He added, almost like a warning, "Try not to end his race by any means." But still, the crowd could see it. This wasn't just a pass. This was a battle, a fight, maybe even a war. Van Gisbergen eventually pulled away, but not before Larson made sure he earned every inch of it. The door slams weren't accidents. The body language on track, clear as day. There was no love lost. This was personal. And for fans watching, it was electric. Two drivers at the top of their game, treating every turn like a final lap. The kind of racing that makes your heart pound and your fists clench. Larson may have finished second, but in spirit, he went down swinging. But let's talk about van Gisbergen for a second. Because this man isn't just winning. He's dismantling everything we thought we knew about road course racing in NASCAR. Sunday marked his 5th win of the season, all of them on road courses. He led 57 laps at Charlotte, almost from start to finish. And if he wins just one more, he'll tie Jeff Gordon's iconic record of 6 road course wins in a season. Think about that. A rookie, tying Jeff Gordon. This isn't just impressive, it's frightening. And Kyle Larson knows it. "He's just so far beyond all of us on these tracks right now," Larson admitted. That wasn't praise. That was frustration. A recognition that even at his best, SVG might be untouchable right now. And it's not like Larson didn't try. He defended like a lion in the final laps. Made SVG work for every second of that gap. It was brutal. It was beautiful. And it brought out the rawest emotions we've seen from Larson all year. Because when you give everything and it's still not enough, that hurts. You could hear it in his voice. You could see it in how he drove. He wasn't just racing SVG. He was racing the moment. Racing history. And he didn't want to be another name in van Gisbergen's highlight reel. He wanted to be the one who said no. The one who stood his ground. But van Gisbergen didn't blink. When he came out of the pits with fresh tires, he said it himself. "I drove out and I'm like, oh, I'm back on again." It was like he flipped a switch. And just like that, the chase was over. Larson held on for a while, but once SVG was locked in, it was game over. Still, that didn't make it any less dramatic. That didn't take away the tension. If anything, it made the fans lean in closer. Because now, there's a storyline. There's beef. There's history. And as SVG stood in victory lane, grinning and probably already thinking about his next track conquest, Larson wasn't smiling. He was stewing. He knows SVG is the man to beat. He knows the road to Phoenix is going through him. But he also made one thing clear. He won't go down without a fight. The war might have ended in Charlotte, but the rivalry is just beginning. Kyle Larson made it loud and clear. He's not stepping aside for Shane van Gisbergen. And van Gisbergen? He doesn't care who's angry, who's frustrated, or who thinks he's too aggressive. He's here to win, and he's not apologizing for it. "I always enjoy a battle," SVG said. "But you also want to win by half a minute." That line wasn't just confidence. It was a statement. A declaration. He's not just beating the field, he's embarrassing it. And Kyle Larson? He just happened to be the latest casualty. But SVG's not walking out of this without his own scars. That bump with Larson wasn't just a racing move. It was a clash of philosophies. Larson races with pride, grit, and a chip on his shoulder. Van Gisbergen races like a sniper, cold, calculated, and fearless. And when those two worlds collided, fans got a front row seat to the chaos. Straight away, it was like a switch flipped and he was angry and he swiped at me, SVG admitted. But he also added, probably fair enough. Even he knew he pushed it. Even he could tell that battle crossed the line from competition to confrontation. And what happened after? Well, the rest of the race felt like an aftershock. Ross Chastain, another playoff hopeful, spun out on the final lap trying to hold off Denny Hamlin. He crossed the line in reverse. That's how wild this race got. Meanwhile, Joey Logano snuck into the next round despite a forgettable 20th place finish. The playoff picture? Shattered and reshaped. Hamlin's on top by just a handful of points. Larson is tied for third with William Byron. Every race from here on out is do or die. And thanks to Charlotte, every driver knows exactly who the biggest threat is. Because Shane van Gisbergen isn't just a road course specialist anymore, he's a playoff wrecker, a momentum destroyer, a ghost in the mirror that every driver now dreads to see coming. 5 wins in his rookie season, 6 total NASCAR victories, all of them on tracks where others can't even touch him. And with tracks like Las Vegas and Talladega coming up, you'd think SVG might slow down. Think again. He's already proven he can adapt. And now, with a fired-up Larson chasing him, it's personal. But let's not pretend Kyle Larson is out of this. He's third in points. He's got Vegas and Phoenix in his sights, tracks where he's already made magic happen. And now he's got motivation. You could see it in his post-race interview. The words were sharp, the eyes sharper. He's done playing nice. Trying to make somewhat of a race of it, and for the fans, he said. Keep it fairly respectful. But make no mistake, next time SVG dives in too deep, Larson might not just bump him, he might dump him. And if that happens, buckle up, because this rivalry could explode into something much bigger than just one race. NASCAR fans? They're loving it. Finally, a storyline that's not about stage points or fuel mileage. It's about fire, emotion, drivers who actually care about every inch of track they lose or gain. Larson versus SVG is everything this sport needed. 2 titans clashing, each with something to prove. One wants to protect his turf, the other wants to conquer it. And with every lap, every turn, every sideways slide, the tension just builds. And don't forget about the rest of the field. Guys like Ryan Preece quietly putting together strong finishes. Chris Buescher and Brad Keselowski showing RFK is a real threat again. While the drama unfolds at the front, there's a storm brewing behind it. One that could flip the standings upside down if anyone lets their guard down for a second. Goodyear's new tires made things even more unpredictable, adding strategy and fall off back into the mix. You can't just cruise anymore. You've got to fight for every lap, just the way fans like it. So now the stage is set. SVG has the speed, Larson has the fire, and the NASCAR Cup Series is heading to Vegas, where luck meets horsepower. Will Larson strike back and shut down the SVG takeover? Or will Van Gisbergen double down and show the world that Charlotte was just the beginning? Either way, one thing's for sure. The road to Phoenix just turned into a battlefield. And here's the question we'll leave you with. Has Shane van Gisbergen already broken the field mentally? Or is Kyle Larson about to become the one driver who can actually stop him? Let us know what you think in the comments, because this rivalry isn't cooling off anytime soon. In fact, it's just heating up.